She's still laughing.
That's so funny. Welcome to Five Lemons Left. We're the real stuff, the lemons making lemonade. So pucker up because we're going to be discussing our life's lessons and the nitty-gritty details of our spiritual journeys.
Hey y'all, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Drusilla.
I'm Melissa.
Hello, this is Morgan.
And I'm Penny. Welcome to our podcast today. We're so excited that you could join us today.
Yes, we are. Today, we are talking about being all in for life. Where are we letting our light shine and where are we holding ourselves back? Holding ourselves back because of ourselves or somebody else's opinion or society. So who wants to kick this off?
Well, I have a really great quote that I'd like to share with you all. It's from Albert Schweitzer. And it's just one of the quotes that I have when sometimes I let my light go dim. I think of this quote and it helps me to remember that I'm not alone and that I have a whole team of support around me. So the quote is, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with great gratitude of those who have who have lit the flame within us." Well, it does say have lighted, who have lighted the flame within us. But I just love that. And I feel that that's part of the reason why we go together so well, ladies, is because we have been able to just support each other and love each other. And whenever we, get off the path, that we're here for each other to help reignite our light. And so I first of all, just want to say thank you. And so that's, so I don't know why. Sometimes I just don't live to my fullest and I let my light go out, but I do recognize that that is a pattern that I have, that I am working on. So
well, I just wanted to say, Penny, while you were talking about that, the song "You Light Up My Life" just popped into my head. So you light up my life, girl.
Oh my gosh, I sang that at a talent show in like 8th grade.
Oh, Penny, I'm going to have to hear a snippet of that. I am.
Light up my life.
Miracle. That was.
You give me
It
hope.
just came to me.
To carry on. I think it was a gong show too, you guys, and I got gonged.
No.
Oh, I would never gong you, Penny.
Thanks, Amanda.
Well, it sounds like you were definitely not playing small.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think that's true. I wasn't, but then I think the gong and other shit that happened that, teenagers are so cruel to each other that I think that's what probably started dimming my light as, all those experiences. So, I'm all about blowing that all up now.
Yeah.
And doing it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that kind of the evolution of especially women, showing up and taking, being brave and doing some courageous things and then getting put up in our place and getting told, don't, act that way, do act this way. And then I think it's pretty common for women to start dimming their light. Mm-hmm. Not to, attract attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really complicated. I was thinking, because you said that, Penny, about the talent show, and I was like trying to figure out, I can't even figure out when it began for me. It's like, that's just the way it has always been, as far back as I can remember, is that you don't outshine people, and it's not like the intention to outshine, It's just that you don't present yourself in a way that other people are not going to appear as smart as you or as beautiful as you or whatever that terminology is. But, I'm going to have to think a little harder about where that came from because I can't remember not feeling that way, honestly.
That's really insightful, Drusilla.
Do you still feel that way, Drusilla?
I don't all the time. I
Mhm.
feel what I do feel is that I have to be cognizant of it, though. I have to think about what's holding me back before I overcome it. It's a constant. It really is. Especially in ways that I am presenting myself to the world. In other ways, for example, in my work, where I am, let's say, being creative or putting something out there, that's an extension of myself, maybe not so much. But if it's me and my body and, everything of me, then it is different. It is harder, and I have to work harder showing up in that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have the same thing with my creativity when I'm working creatively on a website or design or product that we have. It flows, and I feel really great, and I feel like there's not an imposter syndrome or anything. But then when I'm doing the business part and I'm in a business meeting, especially since I didn't go to business school, but I run a company, I sometimes feel like I'm pretending, and I do sometimes act small or stay quiet because I don't know the lingo. I don't know, there's just so much. I mean, just the business lingo is crazy. And if you're not showing up with the business lingo, I feel like they're not taking me seriously. So I just kind of present very quiet and thoughtful. So, but not talking. And that's hard because I know my business inside and out. So what if I don't know the language, right? I know my own business, but it intimidates me.
So what meaning have you made of that you didn't go to school for business?
Um, it definitely makes me feel like I may not be qualified. Um, I sometimes just feel I don't know some of the things that other people know in my position, and I feel like it gets in the way, and it doesn't because I know I'm fed from source. Business school's not my source. My company's not my source. Money's not my source. But still, it's the same thing Drusilla was saying. I can see myself doing it, and I can see myself playing small, and it happens less, but it still happens.
Yeah, and recognizing that it's what I heard you say, it happens less. Do you remember what it was? Was when you started recognizing that maybe that was just an old pattern or an old thought? Like, do you remember the turning point?
Well, frankly, this is probably not the most spiritual things to say, but it's when people acknowledged me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had this older gentleman who was my mentor, and he said some very nice things about how I run my business and how I come to meetings and that kind of thing, and his trust level with me. And that made me feel great. It's a reflection, I guess. where I couldn't see it myself.
It goes back to Penny's quote. What was the very end of that quote about being lighted by somebody else?
Those each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. They rekindle that spark from another person. Yeah, that spark from another person rekindles us.
Oh gosh, that just made me feel this weird way about something. So I had a lot of people in my family to pass away in the last couple of years. Well, just let's say in the last 10 years, it's been a lot, including my grandmother and an aunt and just some other people. And so my aunt passed away this past year. And I just remember saying to my son, oh my God, just another person who really adored me.
Oh,
And when you just said that about the light, that's exactly what it was, that my brother and my aunt and my grandmother, all those people that I lost all of them within the last 8 years, that's what it was.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. They lighted me up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And they still are, Drusilla.
They are very much so. You're right. And yeah, the whole confidence thing with women, I remember reading when I used to work as a headhunter. And I remember reading this article about men and women and who applies for jobs and who doesn't. And it was like, oh, if a man knows 50% that, then he's applying for that job. Woman can know 80% of what's in that job description, and she still will not apply because she will not feel like she's qualified. So that just tells me that it's kind of universal, and that, part of it probably could be our upbringing as well, but it's probably already there from the beginning, just based on society. So it's probably compounded depending on your upbringing. Certainly with mine, I think that in my family, men were kind of looked at differently in terms of how they should show up in the world, in terms of, talking, speaking their minds, doing what they want to do, regardless of, opinions about it and things like that. So, yeah, very impactful to me.
And that's so interesting, Drusilla. I didn't know that, but as you said it, that would totally make that it rang true. Like, yes, I would not say I could do a job unless I could do it. Like, that's who I am. I would not want to I don't know what it is, but I would be uncomfortable signing up or applying for a job or anything that I didn't feel qualified to do. And I wouldn't feel qualified until like I was pretty much had it mastered.
Yeah.
Ah. And Melissa, you're an example of a rule breaker or a glass ceiling shatterer. If you were doing it, if you're doing that job already. Because if you learned by yourself, then you certainly, I don't know if you felt qualified going into it or you qualified yourself.
Oh, I qualified myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. And I've learned a lot the hard way. And I've learned a lot from other people, and I've taught myself a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Morgan, you've been kind of quiet. Tell us about your experiences.
Okay. Well, let's see. How do I dim my light? There's so many ways that we all do this habitually. It's like ingrained as part of life school, I guess, programming. I think for me, the biggest way that I dim my light is when I allow the fear thoughts to really take hold in my mind, and when I let them go unchecked, I'll say, because I've been having this imagery. I don't remember if it's from the Year of Forgiveness book that I'm reading, or who knows, it could be from Instagram or TikTok, or it could be from any number of places, but I keep getting this visual of the well-beingness of God or love, abundance, clarity, joy, freedom, all the spiritual qualities is always being showered down upon us. And then we sometimes elect to put up an umbrella when we are getting into those fear thoughts. And I find myself, like, here lately, I've been having a lot of fear thoughts come up around money, which is a topic that I've done a lot of healing work on. And I can see the progression if I look back from where I came to where I am now. And I know that there's still growth and healing to be done there. And so some fear thoughts are coming up. And today, I have been really, really good about refocusing my energy and finding things to be delighted about and things to be grateful for, and just finding joy in the present moment. And I think to a lot of people who aren't on the spiritual practice, that can feel irresponsible to just ignore those fear thoughts and those worry thoughts when they come in. It's not spiritual bypassing. I know. Anyway, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, getting on a tangent here. So that's my thought for this moment.
Well, we have decided to take a break in the middle of our session or our podcast today. And so I just wanted to just take a break here for a moment, that you gave us the perfect inroads, Morgan, because a lot of the work that we've been doing together, the five of us, is in a course called Masterful Living with our dear beloved teacher, Jennifer Hadley. So today we just like to encourage you, if you want to learn more about Masterful Living, that you can go to www.jenniferhadley.com and you can check it out. And she'll be starting a new class in January if you want to join Masterful Living. So now we can go back to our podcast.
Penny.
Thank you, Penny. You have that beautiful announcer voice. I love it. Yeah. I love that voice.
I forgot to set the timer, Amanda.
Yeah, it's all good. We're officially in the non-judgment zone right here, so it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't.
All perfect.
It's
all perfect.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. And it gives us a chance to chuckle, have a little chuckle for a minute, because what we're talking about is it's fun to see the lighter side of it. But when you start thinking about, well, when I personally start thinking about missed opportunities because I was not showing up authentically, I don't get sad because I'm in a place in my life where I believe like I'm right where I need to be, like life is clicking along perfectly. And still on a daily basis, I think of like, I should have said this, or I could have said this, or I wish I wouldn't have said that. And that is all part of the process. To me, that's part of the process of dimming my light, is not speaking my truth or showing up in truth, or boundaries comes into play. Like, I don't even know how boundaries would fit in, but if I'm not, speaking and standing in truth and unconditional love, then on some ways I am dimming my light. Mm-hmm. So that's something different, a different way to think about it, instead of, it's just like how on a daily basis. I'm curious. Yeah, go ahead. I see.
Well, and to build on that too, Amanda, is when we're not, we're then letting the critical voice come in and beat us down, which then keeps us playing small and keeps me, I shouldn't say us, but it keeps me from going, oh my God, I said something so stupid. Or what if that wasn't the right answer to the question? Sometimes I have doubts. Yeah. So then that critical voice comes in and says, Penny, who do you think you are? Like, that was the stupidest thing you could have said or whatever. And so, yeah, just it is a consistent practice for me to keep saying, hold it. You don't need to talk to me right now like that. I need to set a boundary with my ego.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone else have an example of like a mind loop that happens on a regular basis that either you are getting a hold of and stopping, or that it's your intention to stop that thought?
Hmm.
Something to think about.
Mine is money, associated with money. And I've actually have been noticing that when I wake up in the middle of the night, and if I don't like wake up and think about a problem, I go to money.
You create a problem.
I create it. I am not kidding. Like I watch my mind, and I've been watching and I've been going to money, and then I've been like, oh, that is so strange. I really don't need to do that. I really don't need to go. I mean, I like searched for it. It's almost like a little bit of a buzz, a little bit of like, oh, I'm awake in the middle of the night, and I'm just awake. I have to go to the bathroom or something, and oh my God, I need to be thinking about something that's very disturbing. And it is the weirdest thing. I love that I see it, because then I can stop it, or I can accept it, totally accept it. Oh, wow, look what I'm doing now. That's interesting. Wow. And it shifts. But before it would come up, I'd find that thing that torqued me, and I would just go on the path down the, what is it? What does Jennifer say? The train, the
Pain train.
Pain train.
And I'm on the pain train before I know it. And at least I know when I'm waking up, I'm searching for the pain train station.
Yeah.
Hey, to jump off, right?
Right, to not get on in the first place.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I could so relate to that.
I feel like we could do a whole episode on money, because there's so much tied up in it, unworthiness and just all kinds of stuff.
Melissa, you said that you felt a buzz. What did you mean by that?
I don't know if it's a dopamine hit or I really don't know, but I literally felt in my body calm and peaceful. And then I searched. I could see my mind searching for something. And then it was like, it was this panic. And I don't know if
you think it was adrenaline, like an adrenaline surge?
Yeah. I mean, I know, a lot of people say your cortisol shoots up, and that's why you wake up. But I wake up not super interested in waking up, like it doesn't feel like a cortisol, like bright early morning. It feels like it's kind of peaceful, but I'm so used to finding the pain train, and I'm so used to jumping on that it was almost like I'm just searching for it.
Yeah. I've had that. I came to that awareness as well since I've been in Masterful Living. And I think it was from Jennifer talking about the pain train. And it is high, I think, or it's a suppression of feeling the light. One or the other. It's both is the same, regardless as to how you look at it. But yeah, clearly I've seen myself go search in my brain, like, oh, I know something bad was going on, or I needed to address a conflict, or there's some conflict going on. And if I don't go find it in my brain, then, and I literally search around in my brain to find whatever that pain or whatever that awful feeling was. Yeah. And so I have back to the original question of looping thoughts. gosh, I've tried to do so much work around that in the last couple of years. And I will have to say that on a regular, any given day that I don't experience a lot of that, or thank goodness. But yeah, those are the thoughts that I feel like before I was aware of them, that would keep me playing small. No doubt, for sure.
And what were they? I missed that. What were the thoughts that looped in your mind?
They would vary depending on what this actual situation was.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them around unworthiness.
Mm-hmm.
And like Penny said, the who do you think you are to be doing XYZ, or to think that you can apply for that position, or to, any of it. And I was just thinking about Melissa's comment about in her own company and how it probably manifests differently, because I was also doing the comparison of being in a corporate environment versus starting my own business, where I did thrive more because I probably could contain or control when I wanted to play small and when I could show up, authentically. And I felt so much more comfortable being self-employed, deciding when I wanted to go and show up in that big way or not. And just thinking about that, Melissa, I wonder if you kind of see the difference as well.
That is profound. Yes. You've nailed a lot there. Yes. And I've always been an entrepreneur. I've had 3 different companies, and I think you're right. I think it has fed me in a lot of ways, and it's that's my creativity. However, it's easy to play small when you have your own, when you're not showing up in corporate every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have always had a little fear about that entrepreneurial role. So one of my mind loops is, or something like this, like, you can't do it on your own. You'll get it wrong. You'll fail, like a fear of failure type of thing also runs in the background for me. Mm-hmm. I feel like in some parts of my life, like it's easy for me to move past that fear. Like I recognize it and I'm like, that's in the rear view. And then in other areas of my life, I can still, it's palpable, stepping out and being the one responsible for everything, that feels like a lot of responsibility. It is a lot of responsibility. And, and also that's one thing that is one of my things, is taking 100% responsibility for all of life. So I'm glad we're talking about that, because I certainly still have that fear of, I'm just going to get it wrong. But, at the end of the day, so what, if I get it wrong, it's just wrong. I just start over.
And it's still perfect.
Yeah. And it's still perfect.
Mm-hmm. And life is a practice, right? Everything we do is a practice. I mean, we just practice it. And then if it doesn't work, we just create a new plan and we go again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
Some days I embrace that and others days I don't.
There's a great book called by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. Mm-hmm. And he talks about upper limit problems. And he's saying everyone has this. Like, this is, you get to a certain success, you almost hit your zone of genius, and you bring yourself back down. Mm-hmm. Hey, there it is. Yes. And so he calls it upper limit problems, where these are the, I'll tell you what they are, but you get into that level and you bring yourself down. You play small because that level scares you. Mm-hmm. And so it's the common upper limit problems include fear of failure, which is what you were just saying, Amanda, fear of being alone, and fear of outshining others. So, and that is outshining others, especially your family and close friends. So these are the, like, you're bigger than your britches, or whatever that term is. Those kind of things were taught. And so we get to, pardon? Oh, I thought you said something.
No, someone has an echo. So it's a little echo that's happening every once in a while.
So it's a great book. I would totally suggest reading it, because he really talks about how much of a human condition it is for us to get into close to our zone of genius and sabotage ourselves, always sabotaging ourselves, and how to get out of that as a loop as well, not just the loop in your head, but out of that conditioning. It's very, very, very interesting book.
Mm-hmm. I think that explains too why we have these recurring things to heal. Like for me and you, Melissa, the money thing keeps coming up. Like we are assimilating the healing from the last go round, and then we have a new upper limit to reach, and then we have to do a whole new round of healing when we get there. And it is like thematic healing has to take place, and like you have to be able to be comfortable with this new level before. Anyway, I think it's very, very, I think it applies on so many levels in so many different areas. It's just like the Enneagram too. Like you go from like the most assimilated, and then there's the lower levels. And at any given point, you're operating within a range of about, maybe 1 to 3 or 3 to 6. And once you get to the top of that range, it's very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But then eventually the scale slides up, and there's just assimilation that has to happen at every step along the way.
I like the word assimilation. I also like to think of the word integration.
Mm-hmm. Integration. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Integrating and also feeling comfortable, feeling good, feeling comfortable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like Melissa, like what you were talking about, waking up in the middle of the night and you're searching for the uncomfortable feeling. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one thing that shows up for me over and over again, and I catch it and I cancel it when it does show up. I don't really believe it, but it's still in there and it still appears, is that certain things that I see as desirable or I would like to experience are for other people, but they're not for me. And it's like, I don't really believe that to be true, but somewhere inside of me, that belief exists and it keeps showing up. And I'm sure it all goes back to worthiness, like I said in the beginning.
I'm not quite sure what you mean, Morgan. Give us an example of seeing it in somebody else or thinking.
Like, other people can have enough freedom and wealth to not have to work full time for another company, or to, be able to have nice things. And I have nice things and I have that freedom, and I still have this fear that it's going to be taken away from me. Like it's for other people, but it's not really for me somehow. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you for expounding on that just a little bit more.
So you feel like you're still on vacation versus you've uprooted your whole life and moved to Costa Rica?
Good question, Penny.
Yes. I just feel like at any moment somebody's going to yank the rug out from under me.
Oh my gosh. I think it's such an inspiration what you're doing, Morgan. Yeah.
Thank you, Penny.
I'm going to live vicariously through you until I can get there for myself.
Well, my husband and I have finally decided that we are just calling our lives vacation. So we live on vacation now.
I like that.
Yeah, live on vacation. Yeah.
Love it.
That's how we're living our lives.
Let's
Yes,
all
I
write.
remember, Amanda, when you wrote your year-end letter and you said, we laugh every time God pays us to have fun. And that has always stuck with me. I love that.
Thank you for the reminder. Yeah. That's you're seeing the light in me, right? Thank you.
I see it in every one of you.
Yeah. So we just have about a minute left. If anyone has any final thoughts before we sign off.
Do we feel like we've given our audience the tools to help them stop playing small when they catch themselves doing that? Or do you have one tool that you use to when you catch yourself letting your light dim down?
Well, I like the lesson from yesterday from A Course in Miracles. My true identity abides in God. And there's this one line that says, is not what is beloved of God secure? Is not the light of heaven infinite? Is not God's son, child, whatever word you want to use, my true identity? And it's just a reminder that, I mean, we are, what does Jennifer say? We are as holy can be, and all this other stuff is really just bullshit.
Yeah. When I get in when I recognize my mind loop, my go-to is, I am the tree of life. And to me, that just centers me, that grounds me, that connects me to the universe. And no matter what is going on around me, I am the tree of life. That's my go-to. Anybody else have a go-to? A little tip, trick?
Mine is I am eternal. I am eternal.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me that essentially don't sweat the small stuff. And also just to have a little lightness with what I'm going through and, not get too serious. Like, oh, I'm out there searching for the pain train, but to kind of have a little giggle like, oh my gosh, here I go. Just go back to sleep, Melissa,
Yeah, bring some lightness.
For me, it's to remember what my intention is too. So I have an intention that I want to really, truly love and accept myself unconditionally and in all my thoughts, words, and deeds. And so if I can remember to go back to my intention, then that always helps me to snap out of it.
I guess that leaves me, huh? So
Yeah.
I have to say something. So just such a variety of things every day. I would say most consistently is just being mindful, period, all day and every day of my thoughts, to ensure that they are pure and hopefully aligned with the thoughts of God. That's what I pray for every morning when I get up.
A beautiful place to stop. So thank you, everyone, for being part of this. And thank you for all of the people who are listening. And I hope y'all have a great day, a great week. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.